Hi, I'm Joel Trammell. I'm the Coordinator of Student Services for the ETSU College of Education. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about who we are and what services we provide and how that ties in with your academic program and your career goals. We are the Office of Student Services for the Clemmer College of Education, and we provide a variety of services. First, I'd like to say a few words about who we are. As I mentioned, I'm Joel Trammell, the coordinator for our office. I work with a professional advisor, Mary Andrews, and we have 2 graduate assistants who also assist with advising in our office. Here's some contact information for reaching us. Our office is located in 321 Wharf Pickle Hall, and the phone number is listed right there, and my email and Mary's email are there as well. Our office provides a variety of services for education majors. We coordinate advisement for all of the undergraduate programs in the College of Education. That includes some programs that are outside the realm of teaching, but primarily we provide advisement for students who are going into teacher education. For all of the students going into teacher education during their freshman and sophomore years, we are the primary source of advisement. We also assist the program coordinators for the different majors in education with their programs, with their admission boards, their application and interview processes. We also keep up with your files. So we create and maintain student files for all of our teacher education students. We have a recruiting component to what we do. We go out into community colleges, high schools, other area events so that we can meet with prospective students and tell them about our programs. And for students who have questions and aren't quite sure where to ask, we provide referrals to other campus departments, campus organizations. So if you have a question and you're not sure who to check with, you can check with us. If we don't know the answer, we'll help you find someone who does. In this class, the way we relate to you is that you have an assignment. You have an assignment to meet with us and start a file. And when we talk about starting a file, we're doing more than just creating a physical file, a folder. We do that, but in addition to that, we use this as an opportunity to go through the teacher education program step by step, and we set aside a half-hour appointment, one-on-one with you. That gives us an opportunity to take a look at your program individually and where you are in the process of getting through teacher education, and it gives you a chance to ask questions and get them answered. So we take the file startup very seriously and see it as a very important piece in you understanding what you need to do in your program. So file startup helps us help you. Even if it wasn't an assignment in this class, it would be important to do. There's information here about how to schedule an appointment. Call our main office number provided right there on your screen, or you can stop by our office to schedule an appointment. All right, shifting gears a little bit, we provide advisement when you're getting ready to register for classes for the next semester. Up until you have 60 earned hours, you need advisement. You will have a hold on your registration until you meet with an advisor to get that cleared. And if you are an education major, you need to meet with us up until you have 60 earned hours. There are other students that have advising requirements and sometimes don't realize it. No matter how many earned hours you have, if you are a first semester transfer student, you're going to be required to meet with an advisor before you register. And there are certain majors throughout the university that require advising prior to registration all the way through the program. In education, PE is a major like that. PE students are required to meet with an advisor all the way through. Now, if you are doing a secondary education program, things work a little bit differently. You have a primary advisor in your subject area that you plan to teach. That will be your major. And then education is your minor. So before you register for classes, you're required to meet with your primary advisor, that is your advisor in your major. And education being your minor, we're there to help if you have questions about the teacher education program, but we're backup advisement. During advisement time, we do walk-in advising. So other times we work by appointments, but for the 2 weeks leading up to registration and the first 2 weeks of registration, we do walk-in advising. which means that you don't need an appointment, you just need to come in during our walk-in hours. Usually this works very well and wait time is minimal, but if everyone decides to come in at the same time, just be aware, allow yourself plenty of time for walk-in advisement, and don't wait until the very last second. Give yourself, come in early, and that way if it is busy and you need to come back, you have opportunities to do that. We send out an email to our students, all of our majors, about walk-in advising. Be on the lookout for that, but also just be aware that it's a part of the process, part of the academic cycle of things to come in for advising each semester. A big piece of what you do in teacher education is getting through the teacher education program. All of our teacher ed students start out pre-admitted to the teacher education program, and they have to go through a process that we call boarding, in which you apply and interview and get fully admitted to the program. Students often are confused about boarding. There are various terms that are used for boarding. Sometimes they'll hear it called teacher ed admission boards, or they will hear it called getting admitted to teacher education. It's all talking about the same thing. You are not ready to board immediately in a teacher ed program. There are certain requirements that have to be met before you're eligible to board. A big piece of what we do when we start your file is tell you about what you need to do to be eligible to board. Once your eligibility requirements are met, then you go through a process where you fill in an application, you write an essay, you interview with the faculty, and it's the faculty's opportunity to evaluate and make sure that in their estimation you're ready to move on to the final stages of your program, the part where you're actually going out in the schools and representing us and getting your field experience. There are various deadlines through the year for turning in board applications. The main ones are mid-semester, spring and fall. And then we also have times between each semester, but those times are reserved for students that are really down to the wire. They can't progress with their program unless they go ahead and board between semesters. Those deadlines are posted on our College of Education webpage. They're also posted on the bulletin board across the hall from our office, 321 Wharf Pickle. So when you're within a semester of boarding, make sure you know the deadline you're shooting for. Eligibility to board is a little confusing for the next year or so, because if you are a returning student, you've been here prior to the 2013-2014 academic year, you have one set of eligibility requirements. For our incoming freshmen, there is a new and higher standard of eligibility requirements for boarding. So on this screen we have the eligibility requirements for the returning students who have been here already, and then we have in the other column for the new students coming in the 2013-2014 academic year. For students previous to 2013, the magic GPA, grade point average, is a 2.5. And you need to have an overall 2.5. In your general education coursework, you need to have a 2.5. And we can talk a little more when we start your file about where you are with respect to your grade point average. There's a test score requirement, and there are 3 ways to meet that test score requirement. If you did the ACT and had a 22 or better composite score, you're good to go. If you did the SAT and you had a verbal math combined score of 1020 or better, you meet the requirement. If you didn't have either the ACT or SAT scores to meet the requirement, you'd be looking at doing the Praxis 1 exam. There are 3 parts to Praxis 1, reading, writing, and math, and you need passing scores in all 3 of those areas. The website you need to go to for registration information is listed on this screen. There are some general education courses that have to be completed to be eligible to board. Your general education English composition classes, your general education math and sciences have to be completed to be eligible to board. And then in addition to that, you need at least 15 more general education hours, which works out to 5 more classes. There's a computer proficiency requirement, which is met either by taking the course CSCI 1100 or by taking the proficiency exam. That must be taken care of prior to boarding as well. And then 2 professional education classes are required. They are listed here. You're in one of them, EDFN 2100. The follow-up class to this, EDFN 2300, is also required prior to boarding. And for early childhood majors, there's a 3rd class listed, ECED 2150, Foundations of Early Childhood Development. By word of explanation in the new program, that class is being phased out. That is, and those classes, EDFN 2100 and 2300, must be passed with a C or better. That is the old standards for admission. In the new standards, you need a 2.75 GPA with your general education coursework and your overall coursework. The test score requirement remains unchanged, so that part is just the same with the ACT, SAT, or Praxis 1 scores. The computer proficiency requirement is unchanged. It stays the same. EDFN 2100 and 2300 are still required, but in the new standards you must pass this course in EDFN 2300 with a B- or better. Also, to be eligible to board, you must have a background check on file with us that is done using the routing number that is in the instructions we provide. The results from the background check must come directly to our field placement office, and the background check must be less than a year old at the time you board. We provide this information when we start your file, and we give you copies of all of the paperwork that lists these requirements. You want to keep all of that stuff in a folder. Keep it in one place where you know where to go back and refer to it, and use it, because that information is for your use, for your help. Just as a word of practical advice, treat the boarding application process like a job application. It's a very similar process, and there is a lot at stake. If the faculty does not believe you are ready to move forward with your boarding, you can reboard. They will tell you what things they want you to work on, and you can board again the next time around. But it very well may set you back in your academic program. So take it seriously. The faculty certainly do take it seriously. This question, who is my faculty advisor, is sort of a trick question. When you're pre-admitted, you don't have a faculty advisor, but you're bound to hear people talk about their faculty advisors. You're assigned a faculty person when you board. And that faculty advisor you're assigned from the time you board through the end of your program is who you go to for advisement and is a great resource for you as you work through the end stages of your program. This screen gives information about the new requirements in your senior year of your program. In the past, we had a final semester that was full-time student teaching. Starting in the fall, we are going to what's called a year-long residency. And residency basically means student teaching. There will be a pre-residency during the summer prior to your senior year. That pretty much is just going to be a 1 to 2 credit hour course, if you want to call it a course, that will meet in August. The point of pre-residency is to give you the opportunity to be in a classroom in a school and see a teacher set up the classroom and set up the ground rules and get off on the right foot with the class from day one. Residency 1 will be the fall semester of your senior year. During Residency 1, you will be taking a block of classes that are sort of hybrid classes. Part of the time, you'll be the student in the classroom. You will be learning teaching methods. Part of the time, you're going to be the student teacher out in the schools, beginning to get hands-on experience. Your final semester will be called Residency 2. Residency 2 is full-time student teaching. All of your other coursework needs to be done prior to Residency 2. And during that time, you basically are the teacher, Monday through Friday during school hours. To be eligible for student teaching, you need to have a GPA of at least 3.0 in all your major classes. That's a B average. And there is a course repeat policy there as well. We'll steer you through those things, but no more than one course below a C, including repeats. And there is a set of exams known as the Praxis 2. Depending on the area of teaching licensure you're going into, the Praxis 2 includes different modules. You need to pass all required parts of Praxis 2 prior to your final semester of student teaching, Residency 2. And some final thoughts here. It's easy to think of yourself, especially as a freshman or sophomore, as a long ways from your professional career. But the fact of the matter is, you are beginning your professional career here and now. And so, now is the time to start acting like a professional. Now is the time to start thinking about yourself as a teacher. And the faculty members do evaluate you as far as your professional disposition. They do that at various checkpoints through your academic program. And although it would be an extreme case, if there was very unprofessional conduct in our office, we're required to write a letter of concern, and it goes to the dean and the associate dean and student affairs. You wouldn't want that to happen. Now, we understand everyone has bad days and everyone gets unhappy from time to time, especially if the news is not good. But how you handle those things says a lot about your professional disposition. You probably are aware that social media is a very public forum at this point, but it's easy for it to feel private. It's easy for it to feel like you are just communicating with your closest friends and buddies. But remember, schools look at social media, they look at what you tweet, they look at Facebook, other employers look as well. And so don't put anything out there that you don't want to be public. And I mentioned here background check issues as well. Hopefully you all have clear background checks right now, but if there is anything on your background check, you'd want to talk with the director of field placement about that soon so that you can discuss whether that's something you can get expunged from your record or whether it is something that might potentially hold you back from teaching. Background checks are done very commonly. It's standard with schools, it's standard with other employers, and if you have anything at all on a background check, you will find yourself explaining it over and over and over again. And then one final thought. We're here to help you. We want to see you be successful. We want to give you all of the tools and assistance we can to help you be successful. But a big piece of our job is to give you the tools and to help you take responsibility for your own program, because we're not going to be there throughout your career. So take responsibility now. It's your program, it's your future. We're here to help, but we want to see you take ownership of that and move forward with it. This concludes my program. I thank you for your attention. If you have questions, please feel free to be in touch with our office. That's what we're there for. Thanks.